Okay, if everybody wants to grab your seat, we'll get this thing on the road. We have everybody. Can y'all hear me on YouTube? Okay, everybody that's on YouTube, if you're not speaking, please mute your microphone. Thank you. Okay, so we're going to start out with, do we have any new people showing up today? What's your name?
Steve Morrison.
Steve Morrison, welcome. Anybody else? Are you have a call sign?
Yes, sir. It's KI5MCY.
KI5MCY, welcome. All right. All right, we're going to run through introductions real quick and we'll go right to the presentation. Start over here, Mr. Klein.
Mark Klein, N58ZR.
Mark Clayton, N5AZQ.
Steve Morrison, KI5MCY. Dave, NI5G.
Davey? All right.
Mike, KD5ASN.
85UGO Bill.
Navy, KD5DTD.
K6 AAA Plum. Good morning. Ron, K5 RJL. Victor, K5DL.
K5 HFE. Okay. Bill, AE5F.
We'll get to him.
John, AC48. Ed, AC5D.
E485IPR.
Thank you, Ethan. They weren't giving you a chance, but good job. NAG?
Ken, K8WG.
Or Q?
Auburn, AF5DJH.
Barrett, W5LHT. Ken, N5KUK. Jim, thank you.
Okay, is that everybody? And I am Wayne, KK5L. We'll go and see who's on YouTube. We got Carl. We got Galen's on YouTube. We got Mr. Lee. Greenleaf. We've got Stephen. Welcome. Mike Richardson. And Mark Klein. We don't know who that guy is. And we got Mr. Al AE5L. You got to watch that Mark Klein guy. And we just seen N50P just walked in the door. All right. So at this time, we're going to move right into our presentation. Today we have a special guest today. His name is Glen Popiel. I hope I pronounced that correctly. He's got a couple of books. He got several books, but he's got a couple of good books on Arduino. He's going to fill our head with some good stuff. So Mr. Glen, you have the con.
All right. Well, thanks a bunch. And before we get too far along, I have to introduce our photobombing co-star. She was sound asleep, heard the Zoom fire up, and had to come in and play. But let's see here. All right. Anyway, let's go ahead and get started on this. Sharing my screen here. Hope we got the right one. Otherwise, you're going to see things you don't ever want to know.
Looks good, Glenn.
All right, good deal. Let's pop. All right. This is titled Welcome Back to the World of Arduino. As you know, we're finally starting to come out of the effects of COVID and starting to get back out in the world and doing things. One of the things that has come out of all of this is there's been a lot of folks wanting to build and do things while they're stuck at home isolated and not able to do a whole lot. I was able to finish a third book. So, you know, it did prove fruitful to a degree. And first, a little bit about me. I'm a network engineer and a technology consultant for HTC Global Services. I work here in Memphis at a large utility company. I was first licensed in 1973 with 45 years in the computer electronics field. By the way, do you see my screen? Okay,
Yep, looks good.
Okay, just want to be sure because I'm looking at the other monitor. I'm seeing myself. I was first licensed way back in 73. I've been in this since I was a teenager. And I started out in the field doing remote data acquisition, control, and telemetry systems at a Pratt & Whitney Aircraft Government Research way back when. And we did the engine research for the SR-71, the F-14, the 15, the 16, and the stealth fighter. I'm also the author of ARRL's Arduino for ham radio, more Arduino for ham radio, and more Arduino projects for ham radio, along with high-speed multimedia, which is essentially microwave and the mesh networking. And of course, I've written numerous QST articles and product reviews. As you see, I have these assistants here. I show purebred Maine Coon cats just to show that I'm not totally nerd. I had the 15th best of all cats in the world back in 1989. And it was the best Maine Coon female. And we actually won a best in show at the Madison Square Garden Cat Show, which is the equivalent of the Westminster Dog Show. The current pair are litter sisters, and they're also world champions. They are direct descendants of that 1989 cat. But they double as my editorial assistant, parts thieves, project build supervisors, and just general nuisances. And of course, as you can see, whenever it comes to editorial work, they always say that they need to sleep on it before giving any kind of answer. While they have fancy registered names, they're nicknamed Godzilla and Rodan for obvious reasons. And I think one of the reasons I like the Maine Coon is they're basically Kit Kats. They come from the factory teeny tiny like this. And all you do is you add food and water and you get 3 foot 4 inch long monsters. And believe it or not, the one on the right is actually the smaller of the two. She's the same length, but she's got a 5 foot 9 inch vertical leap. How do I know this? She bats the ceiling fan poles from a standing stop on the floor. And here's some breaking news, and this is why I included them. Those of you that have seen your 2022 ARRL calendar, this year the theme is cats in shacks. And Godzilla got herself on April, and the one you just saw here got herself on the August month of that calendar. So y'all ought to run out and get that. That cat on the cover there is your CEO cat, Dave Minster's ragdoll cat. It's a really nice picture. But now there's also some more breaking news. My latest book, More Arduino for Ham Radio, has just been published by ARRL. This book includes 10 completely new ham radio related projects. And some of these projects are actually multiple projects within a project, meaning there's a lot of multiple builds. So it's not just 10 projects, it's 10 concepts and multiple projects within those concepts. The projects in the book are the Yaesu FH2 keypad controller, a Peltier cooler controller, which is an interesting little device that basically heats on one side and cools on the other, depending on the polarity of the voltage. I've got an antenna rotator turn indicator. If you remember the old Mercury Cougar flashing taillight commercials, this is a similar project that will do that depending on the rotation of your antenna rotor. I have a rotator position indicator, which is a single LED indicator. So in the dark, you can see where your antenna is pointing. Then we modified the AR40 rotator controller, and we also build one from scratch. We have a USB CW keyboard. Originally, I had done this with the old PS2 style keyboards, but since it's so hard to get a PS2 keyboard anymore, this was upgraded to a USB CW keyboard. For Yaesu, you can plug this into your Yaesu cat port, and you can actually pull data off of that cat port, such as frequency, band, mode, etc., and display this on a little TFT display. We've added a keypad controller to the old CDE high gain, you know, the ham 2, ham 3, ham M rotator controller. So now you can punch in the bearing you want in the keypad and hit go, and it will rotate your antenna to that bearing for you. And then we have a RTTY reader that will actually decode the RTTY audio and display it on a little display. So now let's get back into the regularly scheduled forum now that we got all the news out of the way. The Arduino really, to me, is more of an adventure than anything else. It can be a lot of fun for everybody. And when it comes to the Arduino, I've always said you're only limited by your imagination, as long as it doesn't violate the laws of physics. Now, there's a caveat to that, that if your project idea does appear to violate the laws of physics, you might just need more voltage, a bigger hammer, and for the really serious projects, possibly some explosives. But you will be amazed at some of the things that you can do with the Arduino. So why would you want to choose the Arduino? Well, it still is one of the hottest trends in do-it-yourself electronics. With its ability to sense and control things, it's ideally suited for all of those homebrew projects we've thought up, but we always thought were too hard to do. And the best part about all this, a lot of this cool stuff is low cost or even free. The development software is free. The add-on library software that to integrate with the modules is free. Even the PC board design, if you wanted to fabricate your own Arduino boards, is free. The pre-built boards, shields, and sensors are all low cost, so it doesn't take a lot of money to get involved with the Arduino. It's easy to program using the Arduino Integrated Development Environment that's also free, and this runs on a PC, Mac, or a Linux workstation. And due to the pandemic and the chip shortage, the compatible boards, the price has gone up a little bit. It's virtually doubled from $3 to $6. But that includes free shipping, and they're still available. I just actually ordered a whole batch not long ago. Your basic Arduino is the UNO. This is still the most common Arduino board. It's based on the Atmel ATmega 328 8-bit 16 megahertz CPU. So we're going way back to the 70s in terms of CPU horsepower. It's got 32K of flash memory, 2K of RAM, and 1K of double EEPROM. So, you know, at face value, that doesn't look like a whole lot when you compare that what Windows 11 needs, what, 4 gig, 8 gig of memory to run. And you're doing it all with 32K and 2K of RAM. It's got 14 digital I/O pins. 6 of those pins can do pulse width modulation. It's got 6 analog input pins with a 10-bit analog to digital converter. And those analog pins can also be used as digital I/O pins. It's powered by 7 to 20 volts on the DC power port, or you can power it using the onboard USB port. And that USB port is what you also use to program it. You can get higher power boards that run up to 600 megahertz with much more memory capability. And these are typically based on the ARM Cortex CPU series, although there's a whole bunch of other CPUs in the mix. So you pretty much can go DC to light in terms of horsepower. The cool thing is all of those boards are seamlessly supported by that integrated development environment, also known as the IDE. So programs compiled for one board can actually quickly be compiled for a different one just by changing a switch in the IDE itself. And here's some of the other boards that we're talking about. The Arduino Nano is about the size of 2 postage stamps end to end, and it's identical to the UNO in capabilities. You've got the Teensy 4.1. This is a monster 600 megahertz 32-bit CPU. It's got 8 meg of flash memory, 55 I/O pins, and 18 analog input pins. It even supports an SD card, memory card, and a 10100 Ethernet port. You've got the Arduino Mega. This is one of the original Arduinos. So it's still the 8-bit 16 megahertz, but it's got 54 I/O pins. Then you move forward into the tiny size with the Spark MicroView. This is basically an UNO, literally an inch by inch square with a 64 by 48 pixel organic LED on top of the board, and it actually mounts on a USB carrier. So you plug that in and program it, and then you disconnect it from the USB carrier itself. You've got the wearable LilyPad Snap, and as you can see there, the battery will actually snap to the board, so you can actually sew this using conductive thread onto wearables. And this is what they do in the cosplay and costume design stuff. And then you can remove the battery so you can actually wash the thing. And then you've got the Mini Mega, and that is identical to the Arduino Mega, only it's about an inch by 2 inch square package. One of the things that really makes the Arduino powerful is a lot of the boards have this standard footprint with the connectors around the edge of the board. And this allows you to use stackable add-on boards, which in the Arduino world are known as shields. These shields can be used to quickly and easily add devices and functionality such as displays, GPS, Ethernet, wireless, voice recognition, relay drivers, motor drivers, and others such as the ham shield, 2 meter, 220, and 440 FM transceiver. A lot of these have pre-written drivers, which in the Arduino world are known as libraries, and some sample code that you can actually just cut and paste into your own programs and go. The cool thing is this is open source, so feel free to steal the code pretty much from wherever you can find it. The Arduino supports several industry standard I/O buses and protocols. This allows you to directly interface with hundreds of devices and modules. The one shown here is a 0 to 62.5 meg direct digital frequency synthesis module. Costs about 20 bucks or 10 bucks, I think now. And that's accurate to within like
He was about to give away a government secret. I think it locked itself out. Hang on.
You're frozen, Glen. I don't know if you can hear us.
Glenn, can you hear us? Hello, Glenn. The cat probably there. Well, he popped out, so he'll probably be back in a sec. I think the cat took over and said time to play with me instead of the internet.
Okay, we'll hang out here just a second and see if he comes back. Yep.
We've lost Val. Can you get him on the Gettner?
Yeah. Get Val on the Gettner. I think I heard somebody pop in. Was that?
Yeah, there he is.
That was Peter that popped in.
No, after
No,
that.
Glenn,
There's Glenn.
Glenn
He's
is there.
back.
He's back.
He's
All right.
back. Let me make you.
Okay, I think I'm back.
You are.
Yep. There you go. Co-host again. And you were talking about.
Get my audio. So I'm still installing audio.
Okay, frequencies. You stopped here on frequency accuracy of that DDS is where you were when you
All right. Can y'all hear me now?
sound good.
All right. Let's,
Did the cat take over? That's what we want to know.
there we go. We're going to have to copy. I had to switch computers. The other one blue screen in the middle on me.
Oh, blame the cat.
No, cat left. Can't blame her on this one. Let's see.
We're standing by. You should be co-host again.
Yeah, I'll get it. Hopefully this presentation backed up last night, and it did. Oh, I've got everything backing up to everywhere here.
That's the way to be.
So let me get this copied back and we can jump right in. Darn, I was just getting to the fun start part too.
Yeah. But as your shirt says, in your defense, you were left unsupervised.
Correct.
The cat left you alone.
Yeah. All right, let's see here. As you can tell, that other system is getting quite full and quite old. And for whatever reason, it just decided, it's still Windows 7, and it just decided to blue screen on us. So fortunately, I have a second system that is literally, I don't have the right font installed. Crud. Give me a minute for that.
You're good.
But if it didn't blue screen, it wouldn't be Windows.
This is true. All right. So I've got that. Where did you come from? I've got the fonts right here. I just got to get them.
You knew the job was dangerous when you took it.
Amen. Yeah, we'll have the fonts here in a minute. As long as y'all don't mind, I'm good.
We're not going anywhere. You got her made.
Of course, there's Greenleaf's second law. Anybody can work under optimum conditions.
Well, this is one reason why I have this second system.
Yep. And you can see we got two of them pumping video out of here. So I know what you're doing.
Well, let's see if it's got it figured out now.
One and a spare. The good news is the Arduinos tend to be pretty stable.
There we go. All right. Let's come back here and share this screen now. Oops, let's get it ready. Yeah, good. Of course, by the time I get all this done, the other one will boot, but it takes forever.
We're starting to see a screen come up. There you go. Page one.
All right. Yeah.
DDS is where you're looking for.
Let's see. All right. Are we back there?
You were good.
All right. And let's back to where we were.
There you were. You're talking
Okay.
about stability.
Yeah. Yeah, that DDS module that we're talking about is good from 0 to 62.5 meg with like down to 0.0125 hertz resolution. So it's extremely accurate and stable. You can also, the modules include LCD displays, LED displays, TFT displays, GPS, text-to-speech, lightning detection, just all sorts of cool things. And with these shields, most of them have pre-written libraries and sample code to get you started, and they don't need any wiring. This is literally plug this on top of the board and you get that entire feature set. And where I have lost my place. Okay. There we go. Okay. Recently, they've come out with these new 4x4 keypads. And as you can see on the left, one of them actually has removable keycaps so you can add your own labels. My first attempt made it look like it was a ransom letter generator. So I cleaned that up a little bit and actually printed those numbers on a laser printer here. And the other one has RGB LEDs behind each key, but it doesn't have the keycaps. So it's kind of a pick and choose which one you would prefer. And here is, we were talking about the keypad controlled antenna rotator. And there's a prototype of that with the keypad. And that's the ransom letter generator. And you can see above, I've got a little TFT color display that shows the bearing. The top number is the current bearing and the bottom number is where it's been commanded to rotate to. And it will rotate to 354 degrees and then stop, engage the brake and the whole 9 yards. So it includes the brake delay. This doesn't affect the normal operation of the rotator and the switches on the front panel, so you can pair them up. And this can easily be adapted to just about any antenna rotator. Some of the other cool new parts are these individually addressable RGB LED rings. They're available in different sizes, all the way from like 1.5 inches in diameter to 6 inches in diameter. They're also available in strips that are up to 10 meters long, so 30 feet roughly, with inch spacing. So you got a whole boatload of LEDs to control. And of course, you can trim those strips down to whatever size you need. And each LED is a separate RGB LED that can be driven with pulse width modulation. So you can fade it, blink them, set color individually and everything, all from just 4 wires, power, ground, and your data. These color TFT displays that you saw, they come in a variety of sizes and resolutions now. They range from a small 1.8 inches all the way up to 7 inches diagonal now. And a lot of these have touchscreen capability. And on the right there, you see the 7-incher with its control board that would plug into a Mega, and boom, off you go. Programming the Arduino and its many variants is done via the free integrated development environment, also known as the IDE. This IDE runs on a PC, Macs, or Linux, and you use it to create, edit, upload, and debug your Arduino programs, which in the Arduino world are called sketches. And the reason they're called sketches is the Arduino was actually created at an art institute in Ivrea, Italy. And the name actually came from the name of a bar of a nearby town. And that bar is named after King Arduino, or Arduino, in northern Italy. So it was created for artists, not technical people. And what this means is the Arduino was designed for people with less than top level technical skills, meaning it's easy to work with. The IDE communicates with the Arduino via the onboard serial port. And once uploaded, these sketches run completely standalone from the Arduino's semi-permanent flash memory. These sketches are written in a very simplified, easy to learn variant of C++, and this is based on the processing and wiring open source projects. These libraries are pre-written module and device drivers, and they contain functions that you can quickly and easily add to your sketches. Think of them as black boxes that you just hook into and they feed you what you need. A number of libraries are included with the IDE. You can also download additional libraries and add them very easily. This is really the power of the Arduino's open source model. You've got an entire community out there developing and sharing their code, their libraries, their work. And this saves you a lot of time and trouble since you don't have to write them yourself. And since it's open source, you're free to use them. And most of the libraries include sample code that you can directly plug in. It's great to learn from and troubleshoot and make sure everything's going right. So the Arduino is really versatile. It's inexpensive and they're easy to use. Because of this, the Arduino family has become the development tool of choice for makers and hams. The versatility allows it to be used for simple children's projects, complex robotics, and other maker projects, and a wide range of ham radio applications. Is the fact that I've gotten 3 books out of it and working on a 4th. So there's still a lot of ham radio applications you can do with it. Many of your 3D printers and flying drones are powered by an Arduino. They actually have an autonomous drone that is self-piloting. You give it a destination and it will fly itself there. And they had one make a 19-mile trip in 4 legs just for battery recharging, all autonomously. The Tentec Rebel and Patriot rigs, the BitX40 and the Microbit X are all Arduino powered transceivers. They're all kits that you can build. Of course, the Rebel and Patriot are no longer being made, but they're still the first Arduino powered open source transceivers. Many of your ham radio balloon projects are using Arduinos, transmitting Whisper, QRSS, and or APRS telemetry. And some of these balloons go up to 40,000 feet and circumnavigate the world a couple times. Or if you're doing a straight shot, we had one recently go 109,000 feet straight up and recovered the whole payload. The Arduino also has additional VHF, UHF transceiver capability with the Hobby PCV, RSU E3, and the Ham Shield add-on shields. These are literally plug them on top of the Arduino and you've got the rig. The Arduino also has the serious side though. Using an Arduino, a group of hams helped create an open source, low cost COVID-19 patient ventilator. And this is currently being evaluated for FDA approval. And those of you remember early on in the COVID pandemic, ventilators were at a super premium. And God knows how many lives these things have saved. Even though they're being evaluated, you know that they were used when they had to. But it's also for everyone. It can be used for children's projects such as a Firefly Jar and other simple to build projects. This Firefly Jar literally has LEDs inside that flicker and blink, and it looks like you have fireflies inside. And it's very, very easy to build. It's also ideal for hobby projects such as the drone autopilots I mentioned earlier. Model railroading. Think about automatic control of your model railroad setup. And the wearable electronics that you see at a lot of the science fiction conventions and whatnot, the cosplay stuff that you hear about. They actually have integrated these electronics into the clothing. So you can build some cool toys too. The Arduino is ideally suited for what we want it to do in ham radio. We can interface the older antenna rotators and have them controlled by Ham Radio Deluxe and other controller software. You can build your own electronic memory keyer. Send CW by typing on a keyboard. One of my personal favorites is a GPS-based UTC time and grid square display. Let's say that you're doing mobile or roving or portable operations and you want to run FT8, maybe you're somewhere where you don't have access to good time. Your phone doesn't give you the time, etc. A GPS is extremely accurate and gives you the time, and it can tell you what your grid square is. So you know exactly where you are at any given time. You can create your own digital VFOs and displays. This is great for modernizing older rigs. I myself have got my a copy, not my original one, but I've got an HW16, which is my first novice rig, and the HG10 VFO. And I plan to modernize those. Forgive me for committing sacrilege, but I'm going to modify those and give them the modern digital displays and upgrade the rigs to that frequency stability so I can get rid of the chirp in the HW16. You've got a lightning detector that can automatically disconnect your antennas. That came in really handy last night because you can see the lightning out to 20 kilometers and, or is it, no, 40 kilometers, which comes out to about 24 miles or thereabouts, and have it disconnect your rigs. And then when the lightning goes away, it can reconnect your rigs for you. And you can use it for virtually any other application where you need to sense and control things. A lot of the projects only need a handful of wires and parts. As we're talking about that talking grid square display, as you can see, there's only, you know, what, eight wires for the display module, 4 for the GPS module, and 6 for the text-to-speech module, and 2 power connectors. That's your whole circuit. So you don't have to be a genius to do this. It's very simple wiring for the most part. The schematic shown is known as a fritzing diagram, so you don't even have to understand the complex official schematic diagrams. The fritzing was created for the non-technical person. All you have to do is match up wires and you've got it built. So they're very common in the Arduino world for your non-technical people who have built something. There's also a lot of development tools that you can get. There's an inexpensive component tester that makes identifying components and their values very simple. As you can see here, I've got a transistor under test here, and it tells me all of the specs I need for that transistor, plus the pinout. So I don't need to go figuring it out. And of course, ever since they went to that 5-band color code for resistors, the 3-digit capacitor codes, I am totally lost. I can't figure out, keep track in my head how many zeros to add to the whole darn thing. So I just stick it in the tester and it tells me. And these are available on eBay for about $10. Now you're on your own for the cat security device there that keeps it from rolling around. Mine costs just way too much in food, but you know, I already bought it, so I'm gonna have to keep it. Something else you can get is a logic analyzer. This is similar to an oscilloscope, except it's just for digital signals. And you can view multiple channels. In this case, mine is a 16-channel unit that goes up to 100 megahertz. And you can see on the little picture there that it will show you all these waveforms on your PC. And you can select programmable trigger criteria, so you can actually see the waveforms in real time based on the criteria you need to see. And of course, it goes to a PC via USB. And this one actually has a voltage range on the inputs of plus and minus 50 volts. So it's, you know, pretty wide ranging at the same time, and it only costs $50. For prototyping, you've got the DrDuino Pioneer and Explorer project kits. You actually build these from a kit, and they are excellent for learning and developing your projects. The Pioneer is a great starter kit. It includes LEDs, the programmable LED strip, potentiometers, and push buttons. So you can actually create a lot of your basic projects and do some prototyping with it, and then move over to a circuit board or perf board or whatever you want to build your finished project on. Both include a mounting point for an Arduino UNO, and the Explorer will also mount a Nano, as you can see on the bottom there. And they include all those fun basic components, plus the Explorer has that little breadboard section in the middle, so you can actually add your own components into the middle, plus you've got the work area to the right as well. I use the Explorer very much so in my prototyping. It's really the core of my prototyping setup. It's even got a little 128 by 32 pixel organic LED display and Bluetooth on the board. The Pioneer was reviewed in the November 2020 issue of QST, and the Explorer, excuse me, was reviewed in the January 2021 issue of QST. The PhaseDock Workbench is essentially a breadboarding system on steroids. Using a system of interchangeable component platforms known as clicks and slides, you can customize the basic platform to suit your personal project needs. This is my second step when I create a prototyping project. As you can see, I've got the Arduino there on the left, got my breadboard on and the components there on the right, and then I have a cable running to the TFT display. And this is actually a test of the prototyping software for the AR40 rotator controller that was used in this book. And it's perfect for creating these portable prototyping projects. It's got a plastic cover so you can keep your project safe from your parts thieves and demons and children and little things that are going to screw up your wiring. I reviewed this in the April 2020 issue of QST, and it's only about $50 to get started. Very handy. So the next question you're probably asking is, what can you build? And my counter is, what can't you build? There's been a lot of things that I dream up and people say it can't be done. And that's a challenge to me. And I will die trying to prove you wrong. And so far I haven't died yet. So the Arduino has really come through. It's designed to sense and control things. It's easy to program. So this is ideally suited for all manner of radio, robotics, and home automation projects. Building these projects is easy. Using the IDE and the add-on libraries, a lot of the actual programming is done for you and takes less time than it does to wire everything up, even with just those little 20 wires we saw in that one project. So look around your ham shack. Think about what you would like to automate. The most dangerous words you can ever hear me say are, wouldn't it be cool if? If you ever hear me say those words, run, because some really strange stuff is about to come out of my mouth. And believe it or not, it's probably going to be viable. Those simple words at a ham radio breakfast meeting of our club led to the creation of a lightning detector that can detect lightning at a distance up to 40 kilometers. And there's the number, 24.8 miles. And it will tell you how far away it is and the intensity of the lightning. And, this is a constant real-time device. But I just had it set to check every minute or whenever it got a lightning strike. But the reality of it is you can track this in real time. That sensor is live all the time. You can monetize your antenna rotator. Those of you that have been under the hood of your antenna rotator controller for the HAM3, HAM2, that series, you see that nice little open area where you can stick an Arduino UNO and a prototyping shield, which is my personal favorite. It's literally just a perf board copper clad area that you can build your own stuff on. And it fits in that area just fine. You cut a little hole out in the back, a little 1/2-inch square hole for the USB connector, so you can program it and read it on the fly. And bang, you've got it. That's a $20 mod for the ham series. For the Yaesu G800, G400, 450, and that series, the non-digital ones, the SAs, of course, have direct resistance output, but for the older ones, you can actually, I was looking at mine here to see which one it is. I think it's the G450A. All you have to do is add that little relay board with a Nano and the ADD converter, and the little micro USB actually fits through the little plate in the back that Yaesu left for you to do some adjustments. And it fits right there. The relay board's mount there, and it interfaces to the Yaesu, so you can give your Yaesu rotator controller control as well. One of my next thoughts, of course, is to add voice recognition to this, so I can lean back in my chair and, just like Alexa, tell my antenna to rotate to wherever I want it to rotate to, whether it's point it to Australia, point it to South Africa, point it to Europe, or give it a bearing. That would be very easy to do with a voice recognition module. You can build your own 40-meter transceiver. If you've seen these little Pixie transceiver boards for $10, you can turn them into a little CW transceiver, except they're crystal bound on 7.023 megahertz. Well, we used a DDS and gave it coverage of the entire 40-meter band. You can give it dual range incremental tuning for the receiver. You've got dual speed tuning, so you can tune fast and slow, just like the big rigs up and down the band. We even threw a 5 to 35 word a minute keyer in there, and you can select it to be an iambic keyer, A or B mode, straight key. Plus, we can give you battery and things of that nature, all on that little colored display. And this whole thing runs off, D batteries, really. And let's see. Some of your other Arduino powered transceivers, you got the Microbit X. This is a 80 through 10 meter CW and sideband transceiver. It comes as a semi kit in that all of the components are on the board. You just have to add the connectors and the case. There are pre-built case that you can buy, such as the one there, and build yourself up your own 10 watt rig. As with its predecessor, the main board's completely assembled. It comes with what they call the RGB module, which is an Arduino Nano and the SI5351 direct digital synthesis module. And it includes that 16 by 2 line LCD display. Now, the new versions actually come with a 2.8 inch color touchscreen display. And that whole thing costs $199 and gives you 10 watts out. Plus, you can program it and modify it as you want. So the code's all there. You can do what you want, or you can use it out of the box. And as I was saying, you can modify it. There's a number of mods out there. Look at some of the things they have done with this color touchscreen display. They've added bandwidth filters, modes, the whole 9 yards, filtering rolled into this device. And all of this software is available online for free. There are user groups out there for this. So now you can make your little inexpensive Microbit X look and have the functionality very much like those expensive commercial rigs. One of the latest things in ham radio is the high altitude balloons. These units carry Arduino powered telemetry. They can fly at over 40,000 feet, circumnavigate the world. They're tracked via Whisper, APRS, and recently we've added QRSS to these. And you can see there's the little transmitter module there. That's about an inch by 2 inches square. And you can see the representation of the balloon, the solar panels, the module, and a 20-meter wire dipole strung from the balloon. There are no FAA regulations on these balloon packages. It's up to 10 pounds for payload. Although typically we're running, down in the grams, 3 and 4 and 5 grams of payload. The lighter you go, the higher up you can get. And we recently launched one that made 109,000 feet and had 3 GoPro cameras on it. So they had live footage or footage that was able to be recovered. And with the APRS tracking, we were able to track it all the way down and was actually within probably 200 feet of it as it hit the ground because of the tracking capability. And just for fun, those of us that are old school will remember the Altair 8800 computer with the old 8080 and things of that nature. Well, somebody has actually taken an Arduino Mega and redesigned it and give you a fully functional Altair 8800 computer. Runs all the original code and everything, including a replica of the front panel of the device itself. And I actually have one here and we'll be assembling it, and it looks gorgeous. And they have done this for the PDP-11 and the PDP-8 series as well. And I have those. So there's a lot you can do with the Arduino. So again, I often say that when it comes to the Arduino and ham radio, you are limited by your imagination. With the open source approach, there's a huge community out there to draw on for ideas, support, just sounding boards, whatever. New modules, CPUs, shields, these are being developed every day, adding to the versatility and power of this fun platform. And don't be fooled by the price here. Arduino is powerful, versatile, and easy to work with. And as you can see on the right here, this uses one of those Pixie boards. Now think about this. What is Pixie? They're strictly a CW rig. What is JT65? It's 65 tones. How do you get 65 tones out of an on-off CW rig? Well, again, this was a forum question that was posed at my original Arduino forum at Huntsville, God, 8 years ago, 9 years ago. And somebody asked about that. And the old RIDI guy in me said, you know what? Let's think like FSK. And if I can shift the frequency fast enough, I can shift my frequency for that on-off and simulate the tones, just like we did with FSK back in RIDI. 3 weeks later, one of our group had actually had functional transmit code. And for the receive side, we use an audio module plugged into a PC. And we got Joe Large, the creator of JT65HF on board. He actually implemented a version of JT65HF that would send commands to this little box to shift the frequencies. And we came up with a little $40 1 2-watt 40-meter JT65 transceiver. And that thing works. And how endless are the possibilities? This is one of the next projects on my list. It is literally on the workbench as we speak. Let's add a DDS driven receiver. And before we get that far, let's talk about this MFJ DX beacon monitor. When I saw that, I originally thought it was listening on the air and telling me what it heard. No, it is nothing more than a precision time source that you have to listen on your rig. And when you hear a tone on your rig, look at the LED that's lit up and it tells you where you're hearing. I'm like, no, that's too manual. So let's add a DDS driven receiver, an Arduino, RGB, replace those red LEDs with little RGB LEDs so that when it hears the beacons, and there are 2 tones to this beacon, a long tone and a short tone. The short tone, I believe, is the 100-watt and the long tone is the 10-watt transmission. But you can decode which tone you heard. And since you know the time, because it also has a GPS on board, now I can tell you that if I hear the tone and which tone I hear, because I can figure out whether it's long or short, I now can determine who I heard and light the appropriate LED to match up. So now we can really automate this, look at it at a glance, and now you know when and where the bands are open to. But I'm not done with this. Fox hunting is also a fun thing to do, but let's add a GPS, a TFT display, and a receiver. Give it a directional antenna such as a tape measure or something of that measure. And now you've got a self-triangulating fox hunt system. Because think about it, what is triangulation? It is nothing more than simple geometry. So if I have 2 points, I can calculate the bearing and the distance where those bearings intersect. I can calculate that location. And since I know the GPS coordinates, I can easily calculate the destination coordinates. So with 2 measurements, I can literally put myself probably within 10 feet of the fox. And that's why people don't let me fox hunt anymore. And let's go a little bit further. You've got a 9 degree of freedom motion sensor, left, right, and compass directions. And you can add a Bluetooth link to this to a PC that's running the satellite tracking software, such as PC32 or Ham Radio Deluxe. Let's add a wireless targeting display on that to your handheld antenna. So now you can actually have a target display rather than having to hear it tell you left, right, up, down, whatever. Target it and it will point you to the satellite. And you can even have it give you voice commands such as up, left, etc. So now even vision impaired people will be able to do satellite work. So here we are at our journey's end. all of y'all that have put up with me through this, you're builders, thinkers, creators, inventors, and crazy people just like me. You're a perfect match for the Arduino. The Arduino is an inexpensive yet powerful platform to create those projects you've always thought about, but you thought they were too difficult to build and code. Imagine the projects you could build with the Arduino and then go make them happen. So now it's time for you to begin your own Arduino adventure, and above all, have fun. And that's everything. Thank you.
Okay, does anybody have any questions for Glenn?
I think I've stunned them into silence.
No, I've used an infrared detector and actually used an old broken remote control device.
Yeah.
And shot that to the Arduino, and I can use an old TV remote controller as my input device to turn on lights and those kind of things as well. And that's a whole nother piece of this pie.
Oh yeah. I mean, you should, think of the sensor. They have gas sensors and barometric pressure sensors and the whole 9 yards. So anything that you need to sense, odds are there is a $10 sensor out there that you can buy and hook up. And most of the hooking up is like 3 wires.
Unbelievable. Any questions here locally? We got one.
Yeah, we
coming.
have one here.
We got one coming.
Hey, Glenn, this is Chris, KW5GP. On your beacon project that you're working on currently, are you going to have that available on a website, or is it going to be in a future book once you complete it?
The current plans, and I just had discussions with ARRL just this past week. We are looking to take the first 3 books, since the first 2 books are out of print. And if you go on eBay, they're like 75 and $100 if you can find one. And so we talked about it and said, we're at a point where we could probably do a best of book. So in the works is we're going to take the best projects out of these 3 books and create that. And then I'm going to add in about 5 new projects, and the beacon monitor is going to be one of those projects.
All right.
And
I look forward to it.
that one's going to be about a year and a half out though. So my advice is get this book now if you want to get a book and play.
Okay, anybody else have a question for Glenn?
I do. Glenn, question is, I noted your Fox Hunt. Is that an available somewhere in one of your books or open source someplace that I can be looked up?
No, that's also planned for the next book. Now in my first book, I actually have a Fox Hunt keyer. And my design was you put the Fox on a little mobile car and have the Arduino power it, and it would randomly move 50 feet in any direction after it transmits. So if it's running around in a field or a forest, you're actually hunting a moving fox. This is why they don't let me be in charge of fox hunts anymore.
Good grief.
One of the things I was going to do here is, this is the box of upcoming projects. You can see the size of the box, and you can see all of the stuff that's in it. And these are all pieces and parts of upcoming projects.
Oh my, I thought my box was bad.
These are all purchased for concept ideas and things. Just crazy things. Do not let me loose in a ham fest.
Wouldn't it be neat if?
There's that 7-inch TFT display we were talking about. Let's see what other kind of cool stuff. But I mean, this thing is just full of, these are my Hamfest gatherings for the few years. And I'm just now finally able to get back around. Putting together a book is an absolute, I don't want to call it a nightmare because it's fun at the same time, but it's an extremely time-consuming event. And I was actually late on this book. So believe it or not, COVID actually saved me because I had to work from home and I was able to finish the book as part of my home lockdown. And I still, I was still about a month late with it, but they're very time consuming. And after I finished the book, I actually had to change jobs, and then I've changed again. I'm actually back with the original company, but so in the meantime, my entire lab just got absolutely filled with junk on the tables and everything. And that way across from me is part of my lab. There's like 24 linear feet of workspace, and it was all piled about 2 boxes high. And we've now got it cleaned. So we are literally days away from starting on the next book. I've got a couple articles coming up in QST that I'm putting together now. One of them is going to be a portable antenna carrier built with PVC pipe, and I've used to actually carry a 5 BTV 80 through 10 meter vertical, a 20 band ham stick or 20 meter ham stick beam that I got from JMR Sales that will fit in there, plus my Aero antenna will fit in one. And I've got the whole construction project that's going to be in QST as soon as I get down to get the pictures and write it out.
All you got to do is start, man. All you got to do is start. Any other questions? Everybody's stunned here.
That's
They're,
got a nice little dog there.
Yep. That's Lucky.
Very cool.
I think that's Lucky that's running around.
Some people are actually putting GPS powered transmitters on that with the cell modules and being able to track their dog in the neighborhood.
Hey, Glenn, thank you for keeping ham radio at the forefront of technology. There's a tendency to want to do CW and maybe Spark with a lot of guys, but you're out there pushing the frontier. Thank you.
Oh, thanks. I have a lot of fun. Like I say, I'm one of those curious people that don't tell me it can't be done. That is a challenge rather than anything else. And, the crazier the idea, the more fun I have trying to prove or disprove it. Like the JT65 and some of the other things, the lightning detector, I was told, yeah, those are like $200 and $300 and $400. And I found the module and built the whole thing for 50. So,
Is that particular project, the lightning detector, is that in one of the books?
It is in my first book.
Okay.
And we're going to revisit it in the best of book.
Okay.
And I will say this, since it's out of print and everything, if you are one of those willing to go into the dark side of the web, you can find it.
Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying.
But we are going to,
if the publisher won't make it available, somebody will.
Exactly. And since it's open source, you really can't say a whole lot about it. I mean, even ARRL's position on it is everything in that book is open source. So you are free to take the projects and, move forward with them. And, as long as you follow the open source rules of attribution, have at it. So ARRL has been very good in this open source arena as well. Steve Ford has been wonderful. Of course, now he just retired, but he's a wonderful driving force for open source.
Okay, any other questions or comments for Glenn? Hearing none, Glenn, we'd like to thank you for joining us today and filling our head full of good stuff, good ideas. Curious of what you do in your spare time since you're doing all these projects, but
I do a little bit of everything. As I told you, I show cats.
yeah.
And I love to do contests. We got Winter Field Day coming up.
Yep.
And my favorite is the Mississippi QSO party, since we're the target. And I live for pileups. So I love the QSO party. One of your guys, Gaylord in chat, mentioned that maybe you can do a club bulk purchase and then an Elmer Night activity. Yeah. And one of the things I'm looking forward down the road is possibly making kits of this stuff available. I'm talking to a few folks now that might be able to help me there.
All right.
And So kits are a distinct possibility as well.
I put together a bunch of Pixie kits. I'm going to have to put down a DDS Pixie kit now. That sounds like fun.
Oh yeah, actually, I believe there's a QST article on it because myself and Dr. Jack Purdom, one of the other major microcontroller writers, has played with them, and I think he's been published in QST for his work. But yeah, the Pixie boards have been a lot of fun to play with.
All right, well, we appreciate you showing
Glenn?
up for us, Glenn. Everybody give him a hand there.
Thank you. Thank you.
Glenn, I'll
you.
ask you one quick question before you go.
Sure.
Go ahead, Lee.
Since you're in Memphis, did the rendezvous close?
No, the rendezvous is open. The creator and owner, Charles Virgos, passed away a couple of years ago, but no,
Yeah.
the rendezvous is going strong. And we now got a Bass Pro shop downtown. They took the pyramid and converted it into a
Yeah,
huge
right.
Bass Pro. I was just there the other week. It is amazing. It's as much a tourist destination as it is a sporting goods shop. That whole downtown area has been totally revitalized and everything. It's really, really nice.
Yeah, I spent a week in Memphis one night.
Yeah. But
Love the town. Thank you.
all right,
All right,
thank you.
Thank you, Glenn. All right, let's move on with the meeting part of the meeting.
There is, by the way, more coffee back there. If you might want more coffee.
Yes, Mr. Mark there made some more coffee. Okay, a couple of things. Over here on the board over here is the current roster as of October. Okay, if your name's on there and there's any information that's not correct, there's some pins over there. You can make some corrections on it. Also, and this has to do with the roster also, this is December, and December means dues are due in December for 2022. If you want to pay your dues, you can see Mr. Larry, he's the new treasurer, and or go online. It's easy to pay with PayPal online, but dues are due. We give you until March to pay your dues. After that point, you will be dropped from membership and taken off the roster. Okay, so let's see, Secretary's minutes, there's a link on the website that you can read those if you want. The financial report, I don't think Hank's here. So we're gonna go to Larry. Larry is our 2022 treasurer, but he's kind of getting a head start on this. Larry, you got something you want to say? That's not Larry.
So I'm still trying to get everything in order, but from the balance sheets that was given to me last week or so, we have a little over $22,000 in the bank. We've had a couple members join. In fact, I got emailed just a little bit ago. We had another member join with PayPal. Had a donut go down wrong this morning, and it's made my throat sore. So sorry about that. So we are in good shape, and anyone have any questions? Guess not. So
Okay. Okay, just keep in mind that even though we have a lot of money in the bank, it only takes one time for the repeater to go down to pretty much eat up that whole fund.
One comment on what we used the money for in 2021. We did get tools for Elmer Night. So if anybody's got projects or something they need help with, Mark has quite a collection of tools now. thanks to the club that can help people to fix projects, fix antennas, cables, so forth. And we invite everybody to come out on the overnight at 6:30 here at the station.
Yep, great. Yeah, we did buy a bunch of tools for Elmanite. Elmanite's going on strong. We like that. Okay, let's move on to the tech committee with Mr. Ed. I need the exercise.
Okay, everything has been up and running. We do have, and there's been some noise lately with our solar weather picking up, which is a good sign in the long run. But we also have a somewhat slight mystery. I know Lee has talked about it somewhat, but there is somebody's got a radio most likely on full time. It's on the output frequency, probably set to Vox because your dog is operating somewhat without you. So if you have a dog and you have a radio you keep on a fair amount of time and might maybe leave the house or something, check it to see, make sure your box is off, because otherwise your dog is operating without a control operator and he doesn't ID very much. So
Mike Winkle reported just yesterday or day before that he heard it again, but this time the repeater courtesy tone would come on afterwards.
oh, so you switched over to the
Before that, he thought it was all on simplex, but they may have migrated over.
okay. Yeah,
Sounds like the dog got its general.
that's right. It could be. So if you got a radio that hangs around, it's on all the time. Check, make sure you have your Vox up set up, because we do have a dog operating.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Ed. Now we're gonna go to Bill Baker here. He's gonna talk about the net, 10-meter net.
Well, this past week, well, first of all, everyone's invited to the 10-meter net every Wednesday night, 8 p.m., 28.445 upper sideband. Last past Wednesday, we tried AM afterwards, and that was interesting. This coming Wednesday, we may try FM after the regular net. So we'll play around with different things.
It'd be a general to do FM.
Okay, thank you, Bill. BIM, are you here, Jim? Jim is not here. So the 6-meter net, Monday nights at 2000 hours, the 50.200, correct? Yeah, 50.200. Okay. I don't have eyes in the back of my head. Okay, let's move over here. Mr. Phil, we'll talk about the Aries net. I got it under control.
AriesNet happens each Tuesday night at 8 p.m. local time on or about the STARS repeater 147.060. The net control operators doing an outstanding job. Every once in a while, we do something a little bit different to make it interesting. So come and join us Tuesday night, 8 p.m. MacNet. We're still doing the MacNet. Mike and Denny are doing a great job on that each morning at 9 a.m. on the STARS repeater, 6 days a week. We don't run it on Sunday, and we don't run it on if there's a STARS activity like there is today. We didn't have the net today because we had the STARS meeting. Otherwise, each morning, 9 a.m., come and check in, grab a cup of coffee, and you can talk about anything you want to talk about. That's it.
Awesome. Thank you, Phil. Danny, you want to talk about the gossip net?
Oh, nothing too wild and exciting been going on up there. Got a tangled up puppy dog. Anyhow, come join us right after the AriesNet at about 8:30 in the evening. And again, you can talk about anything you like. And as they say, don't time out the repeater. Victor will get you. Anyway, thank you very much. Come join us.
Okay. Thank you, Denny. We appreciate that. Okay, let's move on to the DMR net. Lee?
Well, thank you, sir. Yes, the DMR net meets every Monday night at 8:15 p.m. on Talk Group 3140, which is the Oklahoma statewide talk group. Either myself or my alternate ego, Mark, N5H to ZR, will be doing the net on those nights. We always try to do something as an educational piece during the net. And we're having check-ins from all over the country lately. Mark had 41 people one night, so we're doing great things. So again, talk group 3140, 8:15 local time. Be there, be square. Thanks.
All right, thank you, Lee. And Peter Laws, I have saved you for last on the siren net.
So Rick Smith, KW5GP, our warning coordination meteorologist, who's from Memphis, isn't he? Somewhere in Tennessee, I think. Anyway, he likes to say that storm season runs officially from January 1st through December 31st. Unfortunately, a lot of folks in the Ohio, Mississippi Valley there in Kentucky didn't seem to take that message to heart, and there was quite a few fatalities last night during the severe weather outbreak that they had. One of the things we do in Norman and in other towns around here is we have outdoor warning sirens to let people know that something is going on. When you hear the siren, the idea is that you're supposed to seek more information, take shelter if you think that's appropriate. Because those sirens are so critical for that sort of thing, we test them every week. Actually, in Norman, they're tested more often than that. You just don't hear anything because it's a telemetry only test. On Saturdays at noon, all the cities that are part of the Central Oklahoma Emergency Management Association sound their sirens as a test. They've settled on Saturday at noon so that there's fewer opportunities for confusion. Norman and Moore and Noble and Newcastle do theirs at that time. And we send out monitors to listen to them and report back as to their function. The telemetry works pretty well, but it's not 100% accurate. We've had many, many cases where the console said, yep, that siren's good. And the person standing under it with the radio says, yeah, not so much. And we report that back to the Galens and the Grizzles and the other people of the world, and they make their repair efforts based on that. So we'll be doing that in about an hour and 15 minutes, and Wayne is in the barrel today. He will be net control. If you're interested in participating, send a message to siren@w5nor.org. And we'll have a chat and see where you can fit in. A lot of sirens are spoken for in Norman, but that's okay. Norman has a lot of sirens, like 68 of them, and they're not all covered. More because it's a little smaller, has fewer sirens, and we have less coverage up there. You can see on the website, if you go to w5nor.org/siren, you can dig around and find the maps of where the sirens are and the lists. And if there's a call sign next to the list, that means there's somebody that's monitoring that one regularly. But if there's not a name next to that, or a call sign rather, talk to us, and if you can help us out on Saturday noontime, we would appreciate it. I think that is all.
All right, thank you, Peter. And like he said, we still need more volunteers, and we understand this is all volunteers, and we don't expect you to go out there and kill yourself over it.
Right.
I know
exactly.
I know that up in Newcastle, they would appreciate. There are only 6 sirens in Newcastle. There's only one guy in Newcastle.
Yeah,
and
who is that guy? Wayne?
He's a part-time guy, and you never know when he's going to show up. So
I heard he showed up in Moore one week.
Yeah, sometimes he just gets lost.
Spend money while you're in more.
He did. He bought tires.
Yeah, I dropped a lot of money. So, all right, moving right along. VE report, Peter.
Oh, hey, that's me. I did update the thing. There it is. A couple new hands, Andrew, KI5SUH, and Todd, KI5SUI. I hope he's a Razorback fan because KI5SUI that's pretty sweet, man. Yeah, so a couple new hams. Testing every month, first Thursday. Next one's January 6th, and then you can see it at the bottom of the screen, February 3rd, March 3rd. The FCC still has not implemented their application fee. I don't know, the conventional wisdom was later this summer and then fall and then next year. Well, next year is like what, 2 weeks? So I don't know. I can't tell you. Laurel VEC, through whom we are accredited, does not do a cost recovery fee the way ARRL VEC does. So for the time being, at least, there's no cost to get your license other than your time to study, and please do study. Come and upgrade too. If you're a technician, please come and get your general. It's so much fun on HF.
All right. Thanks a lot there, Peter. And one last thing while you're there, Peter, which is so appropriate this time of year and should be year long. Talk about Amazon Smile.
So yes, Jeff Bezos has a lot of money, like a lot of money. And he pretends to be generous by giving that away through a program called Smile. If you do your Amazon shopping and just before you open up your browser, you go to smile.amazon.com and just do that and then do your regular shopping. Smile, once you go there the first time, it's going to ask you to designate a charity. When you do that, please consider selecting the South Canadian Amateur Radio Society, Inc., a 501c3 organization. That's us. And we will get a teeny tiny percentage of whatever you buy. It's a small percentage. It doesn't add to your price. It just comes out of Jeff Bezos' pocket. It's like lint to him. So please help keep that lint out of his pocket. We've done pretty well. We're well into 4 digits over the time we've been doing that and the Amazon Associates program. This club has more than made coffee money. So please help us out. If you have another favorite charity, great, do that one. But either way, do a charity thing. We would love to have your money, but if you have another charity you prefer, absolutely use that one as well, or in place of. But yeah, smile.amazon.com. It works just the same way as Amazon. It's just that it will designate a percentage of your purchase to us or your favorite charity.
Okay, appreciate that. And I just want to throw this in there that I found those of you that use Google Chrome, I found an extension that you can put in there that every time you go to Amazon.com, it will automatically switch you over to smile.amazon.com. You just go into Google Chrome, search for Smile extensions or something of that nature. Sorry, my laptop just shut up. That's what I get for using a Mac. I'm severely handicapped today because I'm using my Mac. Okay, so moving right along, we're going to get Mr. Klein that's going to give us a recap on the Christmas party and talk about other good stuff coming up.
Greetings all. Yes, Tuesday was the Christmas party. Looking around the room, a lot of folks in the room were there. Anybody have a good time Tuesday night? Oh yeah, the hand's going up. A wonderful event. We did up to $15 gifts. And they went around the room. Everybody seemed to be pleased. Happy day, Merry Christmas, and all that good stuff. So that was a good event. I got to go to the one
had about 32, 33 people by my count.
Okay. It was a good event. I got to go to the one in Edmond, and it was a similar event. So Christmas time is abounding. Second thing I've got going for us is we talked about earlier about the Elmer Night. For all of you who are interested in Arduino stuff, I have a lot of the little pieces. If you want to get involved, we can actually do that as an Elmer Night project. I saw they were talking about doing some kits kind of things, and we can talk about putting some of those together. That might be fun. But if you have any interest in Arduino stuff, come Tuesday nights, 6:30 to 9, and we'll be happy to start some Arduino builds on all that stuff. My copy of Glen's book is in a UPS truck somewhere between here and Newington, Connecticut. So it will be here shortly. Hopefully it'll be there for Tuesday night so we can look at some more stuff.
Speaking of Glen, he's going crazy in the chat window with some of our members there. So his contribution to our meeting is not finished.
I see that going by, and I'm so glad to hear it. Glen,
he's a heck of a guy.
Glen, if you're not a W5KUB listener, our newsletter has a link to it in the bottom with all the video links that every week. Our good friend Tom Medlin puts out a weekly video, and Glen is a very frequent contributor. He was on there a couple of nights that I was on that event. So if you haven't seen him on W5KUB, go take a look there, and you'll hear more good stories about the cats and even some electronic stuff, which is fun.
Hey, Mark.
Yep.
On the Elmer night, we had discussed also a night about teaching soldering. If you want to talk about that, maybe we need to set that up.
Okay, we'll look at that. We obviously teach soldering every Tuesday night. So if somebody wants to come and do something, come on down, but we'll look at doing something more formal for that. Thank you very much, Lee. The second piece that I've got is that it is that time of year, and up until Omicron, we were getting to the point where we might believe that we will be able to run a technician general class this spring. The goal is to run it in the February-March timeframe. We're trying to make sure it does not conflict with Elmer Night here. And current thoughts is that we maybe have the technician Elmer Night, technician general class at a different location. We'll get more details on that. If you're interested in a technician general class in either attending, or if you've got people that might want to come, start thinking about that for the February-March timeframe. We last year did a video version of the technician class where we recorded us doing a video, and this week we got a nice email from a Greg KN6RUK out of California that actually watched the video sequence recently. We probably get about 50 or 100 people that watch that series every month. And Greg sent a nice email that basically said he was trying to get into first person video for drones, looking for the ham license. And he got excited and really enjoyed the presentations, got the online, he got an online test, and he is now KN6RUQ. He's got his two kids, 11 and 14-year-old, working on building antennas and the technician test as he's doing the general piece, and said he really hopes he can come to Norman and thank all of us in person for doing that class. So all of the instructors got a copy of the message, and that's a very good thing out of that technology using the piece. But class February, March, if you want to do anything on upgrading to general, we have w5nor.org/general. And if you want to go to extra, w5nor.org/extra. Those are video sources from others, not locally produced, but they're coming this way. And then finally, one thing that I'm working on as a statewide, a section manager piece, is trying to put together some videos to encourage the use of amateur radio, or to show to people that are non-amateur radio operators, to show what we do. So if you have the ability to do some recording at your location, or you have taken videos in the past of cool amateur radio stuff, please send them to me in 5hzr@arrl.org, and we'd like to put those in that video program for later. So if you've got some ideas, let me know, and we'll push forward. A couple of upcoming activities that we have in addition to the class is the big holiday coming up. It's called Christmas and New Year's. I think you've heard of that. January 1st is straight key night. So everybody who's got their Morse code skills up, getting running, do all that stuff. And then we're aiming for Winter Field Day, as Glenn showed us earlier, talked about earlier. Winter Field Day is the 4th weekend of January, and it just feels like Summer Field Day was over. So here it's back already. So if you've got some wants to do a Winter Field Day, We will do one hopefully out of here. Mr. Grizzle's back there and I'll see if he hides. Do you know if they're going to bulldoze this building by January, or they're going to, are they going to replace it with a penthouse? He said if he knew what they were doing, he might know something. Yeah, they're actually, for those of you not in the building, they're putting a fence around the whole area, and it's a whole bunch of construction going around out here today. So keep that in mind for the end of January. I think that's it. Any questions? He said the burn tower area is not going to come down anytime soon. Said the burn tower, which is what we use for our antenna structure, is about $1 million project to replace that thing. And I don't know, Chris probably has $1 million sitting around loading around, and no, maybe not. The city's working to build that up because it's still not able to be used as a burn facility because it has outlived its usefulness. But we use it as a great antenna structure, which is wonderful. And I guess we can just cut a hole in the fence if we have to. Is that right, David? No comment. Okay. Kim. Kim Elmore said that he read last week's newsletter where we talked about the centenary of the 100th anniversary of the first CW transmission across the Atlantic. And Ron standing in the back, do you remember that event back then? Was it a good, fun event?
Wow.
No. Yep. If you go look at the last AWR, or the last SCARS newsletter, it'll have all the details in there, what's going on. So you can go listen to a bunch of things, get some QSL cards, kind of stuff. Lots of fun in that. And if you're looking for QSL cards, next weekend, this newsletter will have, Tuesdays will have a special event station coming out of Enid, where they're going to do a ho-ho talk-in. I'm not sure if that's the right words, but who you calling a ho-ho talk-in, I think is what they should be calling it. And they're going to do a QSL card, and you can talk to the Santas up at the Enid area. They have the world's largest fresh cut Christmas tree, 140-foot tall Christmas tree that they're doing a special event station to commemorate. 27 feet of it fell off the top during a windstorm the other day, but they put it back on. It's good. That's it. Any other questions?
Ron's got a question.
May I ask a question to you all? I'm trying to learn how to use ROM log. Everybody has experience with it. What's it called? ROM log.
ROM log.
Question is, anybody have any experience with rum log? And I think that's rum cake, not rum log. I think you got the wrong room. Yes. If you got any rum log experience, drop it in the chat if you're on the remote.
Okay, any questions for Mark? Anything we covered?
Can we do a tequila log?
You can do whatever you want to, Lee. Okay, so moving right along. Has anybody done any DX lately? Yeah. Yeah. Specifically? New Caledonia. Okay, did you do this? Okay, on CW? That's acceptable. If you just said FT8, I'd have gone, oh, wait a minute now. Okay, just kidding. Go.
Don't forget POTA, Parks on the Air.
Right now with most of the country, 60s and 70s for December. There's a lot of them out there doing parks on the air. I worked one the other day. Actually, I tried it out QRP just for fun of it and made contact with him on FT8, Parks on the Air, North Carolina. And he was really, you know, he was excited. He was making all those contacts. So try to connect with these guys out there on Parks on the Air, whether it be verbal or digital, because they have a lot of fun doing the parks and they need all the contacts they can get.
All right, good job. Okay, so it looks like our next meeting is coming up on January the 8th here in this building, unless something happens between now and then. If you've got any ideas for meeting presentations, that's your man right there, Mark Clayton. He's our new vice president for next year, who is also the event coordinator. So if you got a presentation, if you don't like one he picked, if you like it, he's the man either way. So anyway, does anybody have anything else for this meeting? Cricket.
Thank you for taking this today, Wayne.
Not a problem, sir. And thank you for being our president for this year, and we appreciate your willingness to serve. You have something?
But also thank Wayne for being a super project coordinator and the vice president for this year as well.
Oh, Mark was just giving me a hard time because I was trying to do a job. Anyway, so if there's no other business, this meeting is adjourned.
Thanks all. Thanks, Glenn. Appreciate it. Thanks, folks. There's Sam. Sam's going to build 10 projects. I know he is.
Yeah.